you live to get with a group. And I mean Bernie, and I mean Steve, and I mean Jim, and I mean Mark, and Boomer, and of course Beth. You live to get that group together, and you know that when you go down the road together, what's possible.
Welcome to the 17th segment, an official podcast of Good Morning BT.
A whole lot of that. Double digits.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 10 of the 17th segment. And it's been about a week and a half or so or maybe 2 weeks since we did an episode. And one of those weeks was completely my fault because I overbooked myself and had evening events, things that I was emceeing. I had 2 evening soccer
You're in
matches.
high demand.
And I was a little bit punch drunk and loopy. By the end of the week, have you ever had one of those? I know you probably haven't. I don't know if guys do this, but when you get so tired that like everything makes you cry and you want to eat your feelings. And
Steve,
does that ever happen to you, Steve?
Are you a crier and then an eater?
Do you want to eat your feelings?
I got nothing for this. I got nothing.
Why is this just there have to be guys.
No,
who do that.
I've had weeks where I feel exhausted. I've never thought that I was hungry. I'm so hungry I'm going to cry.
Well, no, it's kind
or
of.
I'm crying, so let me have some food.
I'm crying, and so I'm going to eat my feelings. It's kind of like the Golden Girls would get up at night and be stressed out and eat cheesecake together. It's like that kind of thing. And by the end of the week, I was standing in the parking lot talking to Bo, just in tears, just crying. And like everybody was walking out thinking that we were having like a fight or something. It was just that I was tired. I was just teary-eyed tired. I
said, Beth, it's Friday.
It can't
Let's go do something not work related.
But then I had an event that night, and then
right.
I had a soccer match the next night,
Saturday,
and I was just like, there's no place for me to sleep, so I'm just going to go to Taco Bell.
Wait, did you actually go to Taco Bell?
I did.
By yourself?
Oh,
Craig was happy about that though, right?
Yes, and I have the greatest story about that. So I'm tired. So I go to Taco Bell to get Craig. This is my husband. His chili cheese burrito, and you could tell that teenagers are working at this particular Taco Bell, and it was like the greatest moment of Taco Belldom ever. So I order like 2 chili cheese burritos, which is the thing on this like retro menu that my husband loves, and 2 chili cheese burritos, and the lady's talking to me, and then there was another voice as if another one of the teens had a headset, and the person says, 2 chili cheese burritos? That sounds delicious. And then I was like, in one double-decker taco, and this other voice goes, in a taco too? So I had this person who was taking my order, and then I had like running commentary of what I was ordering, and it was the most delightful, hilarious thing. And for a minute there, I thought I was so tired that I was hallucinating at the Taco Bell drive-thru.
But you probably stopped and just laughed at yourself and said, everything's okay.
I laughed at them, and it made me laugh. And so then I got to the window, and I was like, you guys are having too much fun. And they gave me a free Pepsi.
Well, see, that's the moral to the story.
Right.
That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Right.
Now, it's funny that you say that because my wife and I have a phrase that we say to each other, and it can be in many different areas of life, but it all originates from a time when our kids were, I don't know, they're probably like middle school, late elementary school, and we were on a trip, and we went to a drive-thru, and we ordered, and it was at a stage where everybody wanted a specific thing, not just a cheeseburger. I want a cheeseburger with ketchup and no mustard, but this and that and this and that. And so we gave
Special
them
orders.
and we got to the window, and the guy was like, he pulled it back and he goes, "You ordered a lot of things." We just started laughing because it's like, yeah, and this may or may not be right, but no. So my wife and I every once in a while say, "You got a lot of things."
A lot of things.
And it all came from like a drive-through restaurant scene like that, where you're kind of like, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, and last week we thought we were going to record on Thursday, but Bo and I again had an after work event, an evening event that we had another night where we got no sleep, and then the next day ended up at Charlotte Motor Speedway because we broadcast live for the Roval 400. So we had another week where we were both a little bit sleep deprived, and that's how we did not get anything recorded until today. So hello, and thank you for your patience. And we slightly got sleep over the weekend, although I had another soccer match this weekend. But the Speedway was its own set of adventures because we Bo and I both had, and he was up late because of me. He went with me to Narrowway Productions to a special preview night of their newest show, Lord of Light, and he stayed up late and went to the show, and we talked to the cast after, and he was like, he's turning into Mr. Musical Man.
I'm gonna start, signing up for the membership at the Booth Playhouse.
You should. The Blumenthal Lights series. He's gonna be.
I've been to 2 plays ever there, because we went to the Lion King there maybe 10 years ago, and I thought it was really cool. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm gonna be like model husband. I'm gonna order tickets to the next thing, and she's really gonna want to go see this. And it was Chicago, and she was like, I don't really care about Chicago, and I was like, oh. Okay. And so we went to Chicago, and it was okay. And she was right. It wasn't, they're not, all drama performances are not created equal.
Wait, you were just like, it's just okay. You didn't like he had it coming.
I liked it all right. I don't know. But see, I'm not, like, I guess I realize this is why you don't go to plays once a month, because they're not, once is enough for like a year.
Beth, is it just me, or when Bo said, I'm about ready to volunteer, I almost thought like for the cast of Narrowway?
Yeah, I did think he was going to say that.
I was kind of hoping he was going in that direction, just because that might get me to go to Narrowway.
Well, so Narrowway tells us, let's go back to Thursday night, because this is the 3rd one I've been to. And Beth says, okay, tonight we're going to go and we're going to be behind. We get to see something that most people don't get to see.
Dress rehearsal.
Because when I was there with you, the previous one, I said to Jacob, who's the guy who, one of the guys there who runs things and sort of always brings us in. Yeah, communications director. That makes sense. I said, so do you guys ever have could we see how basically the sausage gets made? Could we see the dress rehearsal? And he kind of went, that's... we don't really do that. And then about 2 weeks later, Beth says they want us to come to dress rehearsal. And so I'm thinking, okay, we're going to go behind the scenes. And then she says, we're going to go down there and we're going to watch the whole performance. And they have an A and a B cast. So the B cast watches the A cast perform and vice versa. So other than the cast, and we walked in and I said, hang on a second. Every single person who's here, they're in the cast but us?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah.
Yep.
And then Beth says to me, they want us to come up at the end and tell them what we thought.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a minute, I'm supposed to give them a critique? Like, I'm not an actor. I feel unqualified. It ended up being tell us something positive, and that's great. But at the beginning, I thought you and I were going to have to go up there and I was going to say, well, the lighting in that particular scene was, we sit down and do this right here. And I'm not a TV guy. So we can sit down at this table and Steve and Beth can discuss, there's not enough lighting here. And I'm going, sounds good to me. That's all I need. But this is how I felt last Thursday night. For a minute, I was watching the rehearsal, taking mental notes about what I'm going to say.
Well, and then we got to address the cast, which was fun and lovely. And we had this delightful time. And Bo was great. He got up and he was incredibly positive and said wonderful things about the performance we just saw. And then that meant not getting home until it was after 10 or so.
Yeah.
We act like we get to the same home. We don't. We left and we went to different homes. But
we got back to the barracks here at the station.
Right. So didn't get to sleep probably until 11:30 and had to get up earlier than normal, which my normal alarm time is 3:30 or 3:27 is what my alarm clock is actually set to. But got up earlier because we had to be at the Speedway earlier than we would normally get to the station because we have to make sure we're set up and that the sound is working because we're working remotely. So we drive up and Bo and I got to the Speedway about the same time and got out of our cars kind of all bleary-eyed. But those end up, for whatever reason, and they end up being the best shows. And I think it's because I lack a cognitive filter to begin with. And when I'm tired, it's completely gone. And my brain wasn't firing on all cylinders. So we started out the beginning of the show and I'm like, yeah, we're at the race. And we're talking to Chase Briscoe, and I called him Chad Biscuit, and that was, and he's like a big superstar in the race world and the nicest person in the history of the world. I loved him, but I was trying to think of he's still in the chase. He could win the entire series, and I was trying to say something along the lines of he could win the whole kit and caboodle, or he could win the whole ball of wax. And my brain just wasn't firing yet. And so what my brain came up with was he could win the whole bucket of crabs.
That's what would come to anybody's mind, right? Of course,
I don't know why.
And so many times over the years doing a show with this one right here, I just kind of roll with it. Yeah, bucket of crabs. That's
sounds normal.
Everybody knows what a bucket of. But the funny thing is that we started getting important people for the rest of the show to say bucket of crabs.
Right, including Chase. He was like, yeah, I'm going to try to win the whole bucket of crabs. And I hope it becomes a thing. But just so that you know, to give you some, since this is the 17th segment, to give you behind the scenes of what that's like, I realize it after I've said it. And then I do a face plant. And I'm like, man, that was on the air and people heard that beyond just me. But I have to lean into it because, you know, it has already come out of my mouth. And I had a second one, that same show that happened when I was excited about. I love when the chefs come in and they let us try all of the food at the Speedway, because this chef there, Chef Robbie Rob is what I call him. He creates delicious, delightful treats for the fans, and he lets us taste them before they're served during race weekend. And there was a birria taco, basically. It was like a birria grilled cheese, and it had like the braised meat, and it had 3 different cheeses, and it was on this Texas toast, and I could not wait. He was telling us all about it, and we weren't going to get to taste it till the next segment. And what I should have said is, I can't wait to sink my teeth into that.
I forgot about this one.
But instead, I said, I can't wait to wrap my lips around that. And my phone immediately started buzzing, and both Steve and Bernie sent me text. Immediately, Steve sends one, he's like, easy, Beth. And then Bernie's text to me was like, oh, Jesus.
And you see my face right now?
And as soon as I got to commercial break and I realized, and I see these texts, and the chef is kind of shaking his head at me this way, I realized the mistake that I had made and what I had said. But you can't undo it. It's live radio. You can't undo it. And so those are the moments where I think, man, it's a good thing I'm not running for office again.
No, those are the moments where you lean into it.
You have to.
Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah, you have to, or otherwise. And I think the chef, even the next segment, was like, Beth, was that worth the wait to wrap your lips around, or something like that? And the fact that our guests lean into it now too means that they are starting to get what we are. But just so that you know, those things are not intentional. I don't like pre-plan to say things like he's going to win the whole bucket of crabs. I don't.
Oh, I think they know that.
I don't drive in thinking, oh, what could I come up with?
Because they say, how could you ever make this stuff up?
Right.
That's the whole. And we actually
I try to be more clever than that.
We did News and Brews, or not News and Brews, Talktoberfest. On Saturday night, Zoki and I did, and Beth was with us for a little bit. But one of the questions because we get questions in the chat room, and one of the questions was, you guys have so many people on your show. We have an ensemble show when everybody is kind of assembled. And he said, do you guys plan who says what when? And I said, no. Mm-mm. I said, first of all, I would never want that.
No. Because you've worked on a show that was like that.
Yeah, and so is Zoki. I mean, and every show does their own thing, but when I was on that show, I knew that I don't want, if ever I'm in control, or at least partly in control, then I don't want it to be the kind of thing that it sounds like it's thought out beforehand. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't, again, we've gotten into this before, but I said on Saturday night, I said, it doesn't mean we don't have a framework of things. It's not like we just come in and go, turn the mic on and go. No, we come in and we have 80 different directions we can go. But Steve doesn't, I don't say, Steve, I want you to talk at this point right here, and I want you to give it a little pizzazz, you know? I'm
going to say this, then you say that, then
right.
She'll say this, and then Jim will tie a bow on it, and we'll be done.
But there are shows out there, radio, TV, what have you.
TV shows are very much like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not, I guess maybe you get the question because people know that.
Well, they can't believe that our, maybe it's people can't believe that our chemistry is real, that we'd have to script something, but I think it's because our chemistry is so real that we don't have to script anything, because we just talk the way we would if we were all at dinner or.
No, I'm going to be real with you. When you do a show like we do, 4 hours a day with as many people as we have, there are times every once in a while where we run into each other.
Not physically.
No, but I mean, like, there are times when I know after a segment and I go, that got a little too busy. I've said it to Beth before. I've said it to Steve, but I've also had segments where I said, man, that was like magic.
Butter.
And the reason, and those moments where it's like magic are the ones that make you want to keep going for those every day, because it's not a given that you just get 5 or 6 people in a room who all have done some sort of broadcasting, and in our case, radio before. A lot of times that's where I think morning shows and radio shows in general get it wrong, is they say, okay, this should work on paper.
Yeah.
This person's been successful here. This one's over here. We're going to put them all together. I mean, I guess that's kind of how sports works too. You know, we put this team together on paper. You were a high draft pick and you had all this success with such and such, and it's just going to work. But it doesn't always. So
chemistry is a real thing. Chemistry is the key. It's the magic sauce. It's the fairy dust. It's the thing that makes anything work. And you can force those kinds of conversations. And I think people are savvy enough to hear when people don't have a real bond.
And I think it's important to say, like in a show like ours, I'm absolutely willing, and I know Beth is too, because we're real, if nothing else, that when you have a group as big as ours, there are times when it doesn't go according to plan. But the times when it does, and if those happen consistently enough, that's what gives you the desire to want to build it bigger and to do it more. And I think, you know, you start small. Like when we first started doing radio together, we didn't know if it would work. I had her on from Rio when she was, you know, you got people who've listened to the show know this story pretty well by now, but I'm telling you, we didn't know it was going to work.
Right.
It happens. And then you go, oh, wait a minute. There's that feeling that
That's
something
different.
clicked there. Okay. So do we build on this? We did. We built on it. I had her come to the studio. She was nice enough to do that. I remember the first day we were on the air together, we said, oh, well, that worked again.
That was different.
And then you stack enough of these workings in a row on top of each other, then you go, okay, wait a minute.Maybe there's a sign here that we should try to make this a more permanent thing. And now, gosh, I mean, if you go all the way back to when we first just started doing test shows, it's almost 5 years. I mean, that was that. So 5 years
It was
in,
during COVID. Yeah.
a lot of people in this business don't make it remotely that long. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here in front of all of you and say that the mission is complete. Everything we ever wanted is perfect. We're still experimenting, even with this podcast. We're experimenting with everything. But the team that's there, you know what's possible when all things hit. And so this is all back to the question that we got on Saturday night that I don't know if we totally fleshed out because we had a time limit there, but here we are on the 17th segment. You know, that's why you do it. You live to get with a group, and I mean Bernie, and I mean Steve, and I mean Jim, and I mean Mark, and Boomer, and of course Beth. You live to get that group together, and you know that when you go down the road together, what's possible.
Well, and look, we'll give you insight too into some of our favorite moments just from the last week. And if you go back and listen to them, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. We were talking about sports. Somehow we were talking something sports.
Something sportsy.
Was it sporty? And we ended up on a bag of potato chips.
Yes, we were talking. We're talking about fantasy football scores, weren't we?
No, it was something about how you don't get your money's worth anymore. That nobody cares about the little man anymore. And somehow we got to, and you know where else that's true is potato chips.
Yeah, and I went.
And that was
well, we just jumped down the rabbit hole.
Just to give you, if you go back and listen to it, to give you insight into us, after that was over, we were all laying down on the desk, on the table with our microphones, dying laughing, going, how did we get there? How did we get there? And now I can't even remember what the segment was about except potato chips.
No, and
it wasn't about potato chips at all.
And that's the one where I was, excuse me, I was talking about you were talking about how much air is in a bag.
Right, because this is why I'm saying they don't care about the little man anymore, because you get a bag of potato chips, it looks like it's all full, but you open it up and half the air like blows your hair back, and then there's like 7 chips in there, and 4 of them are broken.
And that's where I said, back in our day, the Doritos pack had a window on it, and we could see what we were getting.
Could see the chips. You could see which ones were broken.
So, I mean, yeah, there's an example of one that came out of nowhere, but you have to be willing to go into that
together
in order to get there, right?
Right. You have to be, and just to give you insight into our souls, those are the moments that we get very excited that we do what we do. So when you go back and listen to that segment, which was around 8:05 on that Wednesday or Thursday, you'll hear the delight that I think ends up coming from all of us. And when we turn the microphone off, those are the moments that we live for. Those kinds of, that's really how funny things would be if we were, just hanging around a dinner table and the conversation got often awkward.
Well, and we're in the middle of doing, it's the return of a bit that sort of fell in our lap last year when Steve started doing these Shakespearean sonnets.
Yes.
About songs. This guy. Yeah.
Sir
Hi.
Stephen.
Hello.
Oh, no.
Sorry. Good morrow, BT.
There you go.
Very, very well met.
Yeah, and I was going to say it was interesting that you even bring that up, Bo, because we texted back and forth last week. And you had said, look, today went really well. I really enjoyed it. It went better than, and we continue to do the bit because it works so well. And I told you, my goal is to try to get you guys in the room to break.
Oh, you do it every time.
Right. And I feel like if I can get Beth to laugh, if I can get Bo to double over, if I can get Bernie to disappear behind his monitors,
which is the best,
then I've completed my task for the day, and I'm good.
Bernie disappears. I can get Zoki every once in a while. Now Zoki gets us sometimes,
all the time,
sometimes
constantly.
I don't hear it until after I listen back because it's so stealth. But every once in a while you get Jim, which I love, and then Beth. I still don't know exactly what it is that signals it, but apparently there's some sort of mode that I go into laughing that you say
where you look like you're blowing bubbles. His lips, he starts looking like he's blowing bubbles. He's like,
see, now I don't want to do it anymore.
No, it's great. It's when you know that he's so tickled that he can't talk anymore and he's trying to talk. So his lips he ends up looking like he's blowing bubbles. Like, it's so great. And
and when we do the Sir Stephen thing, like this is, if you're listening to the show, giveaways are fine. But the one thing I don't like is when you say, hey, caller 10, we have 2 tickets to the Renaissance Fest for caller 10 right now. We'll give them to you, because that's great for the one person who wins.
What
I'm
about
happy for you.
else?
But I want it to be something where people in the car don't have to be playing the contest to have fun in the process. And you're right. I reached out to Steve after the show was over the other day, and I said, what we did today is, the contest is secondary. It's getting to the end of it, but we're all having fun getting there, and it's a whole thing of itself, and the contest is just the payoff to one person. But people, I hope, are listening in the car going, wait, how did you not know that one? Or I know this one, and then they call. But if you listen to it, we have, the most important thing is we're all having fun and sort of playing off of each other. And those are the days these guys know with me. My favorite days, again, back to the ensemble question about how does it all work together? Do you guys know what you're going to say? Do you tell each other what you're going to say? No. And especially in those contests, I have no idea. I have no idea what the caller's going to say. I have no idea what Beth's going to say. Everybody is free to sort of go at their own pace. And then there's production to it too, which I always like. But I think if you listen to it, like last week, guy calls in, he's listening to us. He says it was a Guns N' Roses song that Steve was playing, and it was what was it, Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
And the guy who won's like, well, I'm more of a Patience kind of guy.
Right.
And then Beth says November Rain, and so then we work those 2 songs into it. But there's no way we could have known that was coming.
Right, because we couldn't pay a caller to.
Yeah.
Well, that would. I mean, I don't even know how you'd go about doing that.
But if you go back and listen to it, I love it because all of us are playing along. All of us are having fun. The callers are having fun with us. We had one lady call in last week, and I said, you got a guest for me? And she goes, oh, am I supposed to say something? Said, well,
yeah, you called us to play, right, ma'am?
Do you know who you called?
Well, and to your point, Bo, like you guys, when we talk about, not scripting things or kind of being over I don't even want to say over prepared, because we do walk in prepared. Like you said, I mean, we do have an idea. We know, this segment, we want to cover politics here. We want to cover sports here. We're going to do the contest in this segment. But like, I purposefully do not let you guys see the lyrics before
So
we do the bit.
I don't want to know.
Right. Because I want, like today, for example, one of the words, and I'm going to spell it out, one of the words
No, that was good.
was bisect, 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 which is a quote unquote common word. But of course, in context, and as I'm just reading lyrics aloud, and da-da-da-da, and bisects, and immediately everybody's like, whoa, bisect.
You said the phrase
wait, hang on.
bisex, and all of us went.
Everybody lost it.
And it was bisect.
Right. And I
But
had
we were like, what is he
overemphasize.
talking about? Sex? What song is this? And that's the other fun thing too, is that Bo doesn't tell me or Jim what the song is at all. So
Right.
I'm sitting there playing along with the callers and listening and trying to see, if I were a caller, if I would be able to know what that song
Right.
is.
This one's a
Technically-
little different because Steve writes these. So there's an element. This is the one contest we do where I sort of don't know what's coming.
But
Because
you have to get the music.
Right.
Yeah,
So I'm
but
the
I don't know
only
how
one
he's
that
gonna do
knows
it.
all of it. Yeah. So I tell Bo, these are the songs that we're doing. Here's the, here's the
music you need to find.
Right. These are the lyrics that I've written. And whether I found the songs or we've, Bo and I have collaborated to find the versions that, get used for the, the Shakespearean version. So technically I'm the only one that knows everything that's about to happen.
Yeah.
Bo knows the music, but has no idea the words that are going to come out of my mouth. And you and Jim and Bernie are pretty much completely in the dark.
Yeah, don't know the lyrics or the song. So I was sitting there trying to figure out what you're saying as you're saying it and what song you're reciting. And nothing cracks me up more than this contest.
well, and then we have the Name That contest, which is another kind of old standby for us. But name that. If we're giving away tickets to John Mellencamp, name that famous John. But so whenever we do that, Beth will send me, no kidding, she'll send me about 50 different options. But then
I get so excited.
my favorite part of that is she knows that I'm still going to come to the table with at least probably 10 that she
I
didn't
don't know
give me.
about. Yeah.
So that's the way we sort of do this. Is it's a contest, so you can call and win tickets, but we're all sort of having our own little sub contest with each other. And again, back to that whole thing, we didn't get a whole lot of questions about show stuff on Saturday night, and we were talking about Jim and the Panthers and you and your dad swooping in, so that kind of lended itself in a different direction. But we always end up getting one or two questions about how does this work on the show, and I'm glad we got that one, because if there's one thing that I pride the show on, it's that we have a group that all can sort of go into whatever we go into, and we trust each other. We don't know where it's going to go always, but we trust each other. I had somebody Friday say, gosh, I can't remember what the context of it was. It might've been at Narrowway, but remember I was telling him, I said, there was one segment this morning where when the bumper hit, you didn't know where I was going. And I, quite frankly, I hadn't made my decision. Like
it wasn't
we
Airway.
shot
You talked
it's
about
like the last segment of the show, or maybe the last segment of the show that wasn't earmarked for something, right? And you said, what do you want to do here? And I said, well, we could do this and this. And then you said, we can do this and this. And then Bernie says, 10 seconds.
And so we jumped in, and we had 4 ways that we were going to go, and we didn't know which one we were going to pick yet.
And so that's not to say that we didn't plan. We actually overplanned.
We
We just didn't come to a decision. And I thought, you know what? It's pretty cool doing a show with somebody that I have that much trust in, that the music hits and I think, jump off the cliff.
Wherever we go, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And I mean fine, not in Beth fine. I mean like actually fine.
And I don't even remember what we did.
I don't either, actually. I think it was...
It got us to the next
Yeah,
segment.
it might have been sports. I don't know.
So,
But that's kind of what this becomes too. And that's how we want to continue to grow this this podcast as well, with more of your questions and more of these behind the scenes kinds of stories that give you insight into the things that you want to know, what's really going on in that studio, and the things that we don't necessarily get to all the time.
Yeah, this is your like, subscribe, and comment moment.
Yes, like, subscribe, and comment.
And if
we'll
you're,
answer the comments.
And just because I know Bo doesn't really watch the podcast, he listens to it, as do many people, whether it be on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you can't necessarily comment, you can always either you can text us on the WBT text line,
704-570-1110.
That would be it. And do we want to add in powered by
Liberty Buick GMC?
Thank you. Or, of course, you can email us, gmbtshow@wbt.com.
We love answering your questions, and we love letting you guide where this goes.
We're going to have special guests again. We had Zoki in for one. Remember when Zoki sat way up here and we were down here? We're going to get Garrison in here. We're going to get Bernie in here.
Teresa Payton said she wants to do it.
Yeah, she was almost, she was going to do it last week, and then we realized that it was going to be, she had something too close after we were in here.
That she was going to be in, yeah.
We'll get Hancock down here one day. But if you have people that you want to suggest maybe off the beaten path, like you want to say, you know what, I've been jonesing for you guys to talk to Anna Erickson. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Fun stuff.
So,
but we love you for being out there, and we'll have another 17th segment coming soon, because I have not overbooked myself. I promise I will sleep. I will sleep.
You promise?
I promise. No more crying in the Taco Bell drive-thru.
Listen to Good Morning BT with Bo Thompson and Beth Troutman live weekdays 6 to 10 on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT. Plus, worldwide on the WBT mobile app.